Hey guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. In this video, I have exciting news related to a strategy that I've been trading for a few months and finally I've been able to essentially turn it into a fully mechanical strategy, and I converted it into an expert advisor. The backtest results so far have been amazing, but this is just an announcement of the expert advisor. I'll be linking down everything that I'll be highlighting in this video down below in the description, and there's a free demo version that you could download from the site, and you could download from the site from Gumroad as I'm currently showing, and using that link, or rather that demo version, which is only sadly supported on MT5, you can basically test the bot on the strategy tester and kind of figure out how it works and essentially the results that you could get. A few things that I need to mention before I even continue. As you can see, it's essentially a bot that works on EURUSD on the 1 hour time frame. Based on my testing, both manual and the automated backtests, I noticed that it works best on that time frame, but I'll be working on optimizing additional settings for other currency pairs and other time frames, and we'll be supplying them to you for free on the dashboard. Once you've actually obtained the expert advisor, you should be able to log in onto the dashboard and get a hold of those set files as I provide them. As you can see now, I'm actually showing how you could download the demo version, since I'd very much like you guys to test it out. By the default settings, mess around with the risk settings, since it's essentially a trend following strategy that has a recovery setting. It's not really a get rich quick expert advisor that will be promising thousands of percentage return, but essentially it's a slow expert advisor, which you'd see from the backtest that I'll be showing, that over time captures tiny profits across the market, across EURUSD, basically tiny moves. Instead of trying to predict what the market will be doing for 5 days in a row, it just captures small profits and over time kind of tries to work through that slowly. So in this case, I'm just showing you how you can get the demo version and install it, or rather, once you've just downloaded the file, you just copy paste it into your data folder in your experts for your MT5 terminal. And then once you've done that, you should be able to open the strategy tester and basically backtest the strategy on the website, but I'll be showing that at the end. I've also included 2 backtest reports which you can freely download without offering your email or any payment. You just download the backtest so that you can check it out and see whether it works for you. Based on the testing, I noticed that the expert essentially earns around 1.5 to 3% per month regularly, but then in other months it could earn way more than that. But of course, this is also highly dependent on the risk settings that you set and your starting balance. Of course, bearing in mind the tiny profits that it takes, it has a bunch of other risk settings that you can essentially use, and it uses a grid recovery approach whereby once the trade that it has entered goes into a drawdown or into a loss, it essentially tries to recover that trade. There are a bunch of settings that you can customize, and I'll be linking the page that essentially breaks down all the settings and explain what each of them does, in addition to formulas related to the risk calculation, so that you can basically understand whenever you're changing the settings. So it uses a grid underneath the hood, essentially if and when it actually goes into a drawdown. Right now I'm waiting for the download history to finish, but once that is done, you're supposed to be starting the backtest, and you'll quickly notice from the backtest that at times there are equity drawdowns. The equity line will be the green line, but whenever that happens, it's mostly related to a single trade going into drawdown, but then the bot tries to recover it after some time. So let me just move this around so that you can see the balance and equity. So as you can see, we had an equity drawdown, but then immediately after the equity drawdown, you see the balance line, the blue line, has a quick uptick. That's a specific setting that's related to covering all the costs that a trade encountered during its run. So while the grid is trying to recover, the trade might take longer and essentially accumulate swap fees. But in this case, that setting allows the bot to wait until the trade hits not only your take profit but covers for its costs, which essentially results in the graph that you're currently seeing. So for this backtest, if you notice from the settings, I was basically testing from January the 1st, 2015 to December the 16th, today, 2025, so that you can get a feel for how the bot works across time. It's not really a fast bot, it's a very slow and methodical bot that trades gradually over time and tries its best to get a feel for what the market is doing. So that's something you'll quickly notice. And I've essentially sped up the backtest so that we can speed through that section. But if you'd like these results, I've included them on the site in one of the links. This fast backtest is just for the default settings. If you noticed, I did not change anything from the settings. I just loaded up the expert advisor and you can replicate these results anytime. So for this specific backtest, I used data from IC Markets, which I believe you could see from the at the top of the terminal, but we achieved 2.23% drawdown on the balance, but about 11% on the equity. So depending on your risk settings, you could get that 2.35 profit factor and 1.67 expected payoff. The backtest history quality is 100%, which I was trying to ensure that we have. But for now, I want us to do another test, but this time I want to change just one setting. The balance, the position sizing mode, I'm changing it to balance divided by balance divisor. So how that essentially works is your balance, in this case $1,000 for this specific account, it's divided by the value that you set there, which is 100,000 for this specific test. So for every $1,000, we are risking 0.01 lots. So this test essentially grows your lot size or your risk depending on your balance. And you'll quickly notice that while all the other settings are the same and the graphs will look almost the same and the drawdowns will be almost the same, but the earnings have significantly increased since now we are modifying our risk based on our lot size. If you want a breakdown of all the settings and how it changes the performance of the bot, I'll be linking that I'll be leaving a link down below in the description, and I'd very much encourage you to check that out and download this demo version to kind of get a feel for what the bot does and how it works. I wouldn't necessarily call it as a risk-free bot. Depending on your settings, the risk could be significant, and over time it tries its best to recover from losing streaks. So for instance, if you notice from the chart, there are specific years it rarely happens, like the times where the equity drops significantly. It rarely happens since its take profit is pretty minimal. If you check out the settings, it's pretty minimal. So it mostly takes a lot of winning trades, but whenever it takes a losing trade, it tries to recover that using a grid. So by default, the grid, before I actually discuss the grid, right now I'm actually changing the balance to $5,000 so that you can kind of see how the results change depending on your starting balance. In this case, the results are pretty much the same, not the $5,000 one, but the backtest that we've just done, which is the $1,000 initial balance, but we've changed the risk sizing to balance by divisor mode. So we're able to achieve about 300% plus, actually more than 300%, I think. But let's jump into the $5,000 risk initial balance so that we can kind of understand also how that will affect your results. As you can see, the results will always be the same, and this is what I was trying to explain, that while the bot will take the same trades for everyone, your risk settings will significantly affect your results. Additionally, your take profit and other settings. In this case, I definitely encourage you guys to download the demo version and run it in optimization mode to kind of get a feel for how you could use the bot on different currency pairs and using different settings, and how that will affect your results. Mind you, you don't need to use, or you don't have to use, the grid settings. There's actually a setting that turns that off and uses a stop loss instead and a take profit, and you can modify both of those. However, I'd not recommend it, since I've essentially designed the strategy to work using the grid mode by default. Otherwise, as you can see, we have pretty good results. Starting from a balance of $5,000, we made a profit, a total net profit of $24,660 in the course of 10 years. So your risk will particularly affect your results. And once I've actually gotten additional set files for different currency pairs, if you trade more currency pairs, your results will also significantly change. In this case, if you're trying to start with a smaller balance, I definitely recommend you use a broker that allows for cent accounts, or to get a broker that allows for higher margin requirements. In the link in the description down below, I definitely include a link to a broker that I'm currently using, which allows for both. But in my case, I'm basically using it for the higher leverage, so that I can essentially build up my account quickly in the beginning. But this is just a risk that I am willing to take, and I wouldn't necessarily recommend it for anyone who doesn't understand how that will affect the risk that you're willing to take on. On the website, as I had initially discussed, you'll find the results, the document, the exported document from MT5 for the results, the default settings, and whenever the single change that I made on the second backtest. You can download these results, analyze them, go through them, or you could also download the demo version of the bot. At the moment, the bot is actually on sale for $199, but that value will be changing, and I essentially listed it at that price since it makes sense for a launch, and we currently don't have trades on the MyFX book. Once we've built a reputation, of course, I'll be willing to raise that price. So for the time being, feel free to comment down below, test out the demo version of the bot, and I'll of course be making additional updates on the bot across time, and I intend to continue improving the bot, since it's a personal strategy that I'm trading on my live account, which the MyFX book is currently linked to. But essentially just created a brand new account specifically for this bot, since I'm trading a bunch of other strategies in the background. And there's also another strategy that's in development. I'm trying to automate it, but it's particularly difficult, since let me just give you a sneak peek. Since that strategy requires you to basically understand market, I'm trying to code up an algorithm that will essentially understand market moves, different legs in the market, and to detect whenever the market is trying to shift in a specific direction. Of course, that will also be a trend following strategy, which I tend to prefer, but it will include elements from mean reversion so as to deal with ranging areas. Otherwise, for now, this is a strategy that I'm currently trading automatically, or rather it's automated, and I have a live account, and I'll be including all the links down below. If you have any questions, feel free to email me or write a comment down below and hit me up so that we can discuss all things related to Phantom Game. That's actually the name of the bot, and we'll see how things go. Otherwise, for now, I definitely encourage you to try out the demo version. I'd also encourage you to acquire the bot if you like it and like its performance. And additionally, lastly, the bot comes with 5 licenses, so you can use it with up to 5 accounts on MT4 or MT5. So 5 licenses in total, and once you actually buy the bot, you gain access to 2 files, which will be in which case one will be an MT4 version and the other will be an MT5 version. For details on how to install that, I'll be posting a video later on, but the process is actually very similar to the demo version, since you just download the file and put it in your exports folder in MT4 or MT5. Once that's done, if it's the live version, you'll need to go to your dashboard, which will be on app.smallstepfx.com, but the links will be down below, and there you'll be able to edit your licenses. I'll be posting a video later that essentially breaks that down and how you could do that. But for now, I definitely encourage you to check out the bot. And cheers. Thank you guys for your time, and I really appreciate the support. Otherwise, for now, I wish you a wonderful trading week ahead and great profits from the market. Cheers, guys.